Bentrovati, ciao a tutti.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao, abbiamo
Sì,
Ci sono Giada e Rosio, quindi
Sì.
le vorrei salutare. Ciao ragazzi.
Ciao.
Ciao a
Ciao,
tutti.
abbiamo già i primi attendees. Allora, per i video intervistatori, se potete per il momento mettere il muto, poi vi chiederò un intervento più in avanti e attendiamo che arrivino.
Mark, Leni, ma Leni mi ha chiamato prima, quindi dovremmo essere con lei. Aspetta che magari...
Possiamo sempre continuare in italiano fino...
Ciao Ludovico.
Ciao.
La mia amica Jessica come sta? Ci segue o ci molla?
Non lo so, l'altra volta c'era, questa volta ha detto sì, vedo di esserci, ma vediamo se appare. È sfuggente come al solito.
Un saluto intanto a Michele Spinetta e Priscilla Nicoletti. Fra pochissimo iniziamo. Vi siete divertiti a vedere queste video interviste?
Molto.
Sì, molto.
Davvero.
Sì.
Si
Una
vede...
galleria di umani molto eterogenei.
Infatti.
Siete riusciti a vedere anche quelli nelle altre lingue o solamente...
Certo.
Mhm.
Sì.
Alcuni sì.
Mi mancava un po' il tedesco, nel senso quello non l'ho neanche aperto, però francese e inglese è facile.
Sì, no, devo dire che tutte persone interessanti, poi vedremo anche con gli intervistatori se avranno delle cose da raccontarci.
Però sì, molto interessanti.
Soddisfatti delle domande le avreste cambiate? O
No, devo dire che...
contenti? Beh.
Io qualcosa rivedendola, qualcosa l'avrei cambiata, però appunto solo col senno di poi rivedendo il flusso.
Giovanni, voi effettivamente ne avevate proposte diverse di domande.
Due pacchetti. No, è interessante, anzi, complimenti a alcune ragazze, hanno fatto delle belle approfondimenti, delle belle domandine accessorie che rendono molto interessante la risposta poi. E poi ovviamente quelli che dicono banca, io sempre solo web banking, non si poteva fare di più, però...
È vero. Allora, ciao, un saluto a Ruth anche.
Ciao.
Giulia. Ciao Ruth. Allora, per il momento puoi tenere il muto, poi vi chiederò io se volete spendere una parola. Attendiamo anche Mariana, che dovrebbe arrivare, anche perché Mariana non credo che parli italiano.
Ma le intervistatrici erano tutte di Palermo, diciamo, locate in Palermo?
Quasi. Ok. Sì, tranne Mariana.
Hi Mark.
How are you doing?
Welcome.
Hi everyone, how are you?
Ciao Marco.
Doing well, thank you very much.
Mark, are you working on your Italian since you are spending so much time with us?
No.
Not yet.
I'm sorry, but no. I didn't have the chance.
I'm kidding, of course.
I feel it's a bit complicated, but
yeah.
maybe.
All right, guys. So let's switch in English and let's start with there is some echo.
Sorry, Ennio. I see Mariana, but as an attendee.
Okay. Well, that's okay. Well, Mariana, maybe I will allow you to talk if you didn't receive the invitation as panelist. That would be fine. So, you can stay like that, and I will just give you the word in a few minutes. So,
Hi.
Hi.
Okay.
Ciao,
So,
Leni.
good. Okay.
Ciao Leni.
Ciao Leni. Hi.
Ciao a tutti. Hi. Ciao.
Ciao.
Is it? Are we all? I think so.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So just to give a brief reminder about this series of speeches. 1 second. Okay. Good. This is the third episode of this Quarantine Voices. You know the reason. Let's say we wanted to investigate through Cube survey. So trying to ask people through the social media about how they felt during the quarantine. And this special episode is about video interviewing. As you know, during the quantitative fieldwork, let's say the questions that we asked and that we have already analyzed together with our clients, we had about 40 of them that's across the different countries, so the big 5 plus US, that decided to give us some more time and go deeper into some of the aspects. So the idea was to ask each of the institute to prepare a set of questions, 2, 3, 4 questions about a specific topic. And actually the result is that we ended with an interview that in average was between 20, 25 minutes. So basically everybody has been asked with all the questions. All right, so I would like to start sharing my screen so that we can actually go straight to the point. So let's start with a first of all, I mean, what is really interesting is that here we have maybe some end clients connected, research institutes, and research provider. And why not having the interviewers here? So we are actually the whole chain between the demand and need of research to whom is actually doing that. So there is no one else that is outside. It's all about us, okay? So basically, let's start with a short video that will introduce our interviewers, but luckily they are going to be with us. So maybe we can share with them how was the experience. So let's start with this. Let me know if everything is fine, if you can hear it.
I can hear you now.
Oh, good. I can see you.
Oh, great.
Great.
Nice to meet you, Chris. My name is Ruth.
Great, Ruth. Yeah, it's wonderful. Thanks for calling. I'm happy to participate in the interview.
So, hi, Marilyn. My name is Marianne. I'm going to be doing the interview with you today to kind of get a discussion on how you found your experience during this quarantine period and your kind of opinions about it. So firstly, in terms of your working lifestyle, how has your working been affected by the quarantine?
Buongiorno, io la ringrazio moltissimo per la sua partecipazione alla nostra indagine, per la sua disponibilità. Allora, io sono Giada, sono un'intervistatrice di FFI International. Le chiedo, adesso le chiederò magari di presentarsi un attimino, intanto le leggo l'informativa sulla privacy.
Y empezamos con la encuesta sobre el confinamiento y el coronavirus. ¿Podría indicarnos y enseñarnos dónde ha trabajado desde casa en este periodo de cuarentena? ¿Con qué herramientas o muebles y cómo eran deficientes?
Molto piacere, innanzitutto volevo ringraziarla tantissimo per essere qui ed averci dato la sua disponibilità.
All right. Well, I think that only Gaetan actually is missing in the video, but that's all right. I mean, we are going to let's say meet him afterward. So at first, I mean, I would like to say that guys, you did an excellent job. I mean, I'm so proud of you. It was really, really good. I spent with you in Bracket during the weekend a lot of time editing the videos, cutting them, and I believe you could create with the respondents a really, really unique relationship. So I believe that as well the other attendees will agree on that. So I'd like to give the word actually to I don't know. To Ruth maybe, or to someone that wants to start actually sharing the experience, just telling what you found different, because most of you, apart of Mariana, that is a supervisor, you have been working actually as a caller, as a CATI interviewer. So Ruth, can you tell me what you find like very different between CATI and video interviewing?
Thank you very much. Yes, it was definitely a very different experience. It was much, much more challenging. It was basically like sitting with somebody in their living room. So there was a much closer relationship than over the phone since we saw each other. It was very challenging. It was sometimes actually even painful not to get involved in the people's emotions when there were some people who were obviously lonely, and that made it very challenging. Having a relationship, as I was saying, being able to see somebody, feeling much closer than over the phone. Over the phone is a lot more impersonal. Mm-hmm. So I found it very challenging and very, very exciting.
Good, good. Thank you. Well, maybe I can look for Mariana. I will allow you to talk. So never tried this, but should be working. Mariana, can you hear me?
Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Hi, Mariana. Hi, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. So in terms of my experience, I'd agree with Ruth in saying that it definitely was drastically a lot different to how you would interview over the phone, because it's a lot more interactive in terms of engaging with the respondent's emotions, as you can visually see how the respondent is engaging with your question. So I definitely say that was very different to a normal CATI interview. Not to mention as well, there were some challenges, I agree with Ruth, in terms of trying to remain neutral as an interviewer. So for example, one respondent in particular, unfortunately, lost someone that was very close to them. And for me, you know, just as a normal human being, you want to be really empathetic, and you want to kind of let them, you know, grieve with you by talking it out. But as an interviewer, you do have to try and remain neutral so that, you know, that you can hear the respondents' thoughts and opinions without it being affected. So that for me was a bit of a challenge, to try and kind of keep the respondent on the path of, you know, finding out their opinions about specific questions and making sure that they're engaged in that aspect. But it was a very enjoyable experience in terms of having a more interactive way of gaining those opinions and thoughts.
Okay. Thank you, Mariana. I'd like to ask Serena, I mean, if you feel more comfortable in speaking in Italian, that's fair enough, it's okay. The question I would have is, would you tell what is the first impression that people get when, you know, they pick up the call, let's say, when you start to have this first contact? Quindi qual è proprio, diciamo, l'emozione, se ci puoi raccontare il momento in cui proprio vi collegate in video per il primo momento, quindi due sconosciuti, two unknown people actually are starting to talk together. Come funziona? Se puoi, Serena, se puoi togliere il muto.
Ecco, scusami.
Ciao.
Sentite? Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao. Allora, sicuramente, dicevo, l'esperienza video permette un rapporto che chiaramente va oltre, è fatto di sguardi, di sorrisi, percezioni, le emozioni che chiaramente abbiamo provato in questo momento così particolarmente difficile tutti. E noi siamo entrati nelle case di queste persone che fino a quel momento erano totalmente sconosciute, abbiamo avuto modo di vivere per un attimo la loro quotidianità. Certamente era chiaramente diversa dal solito, perché durante questa emergenza ci siamo dovuti adattare a un nuovo modo di vivere. Sicuramente entrare in contatto con persone fino a quel momento sconosciute è stato un'emozione, penso tanto per me quanto per loro, per cercare di trovare in pochi momenti, in pochi attimi, un modo di voler comunicare, di voler condividere, di poter, senza appunto esserci stato mai un contatto precedente. Tra l'altro poi il periodo del Covid ha ribaltato un po' la situazione, perché se prima la tecnologia informatica con i suoi social network era stata messa un po' sotto accusa proprio perché aveva creato un allontanamento in quanto la vicinanza era solo, diciamo, virtuale, durante questo periodo è diventato l'unico mezzo possibile per poter stare veramente vicini. Quindi non solo più tramite le chiamate, messaggi, foto, ma anche e soprattutto la videochiamata, facendo sì che oggi tutti sappiamo parlare e sappiamo utilizzare queste piattaforme condivise virtuali. Quindi, diciamo, è stato un po' un'esperienza bellissima, sicuramente.
Grazie. I mean, just to sum it up, I mean, just the last point I think is very interesting. So what Serena thinks is that social media might be like a way to get away one from the other because it's so virtual, but indeed that helped us a lot to get in touch even more, because that was the only way to get in touch with people. So I find it very, very interesting, and that is a very special way to get in touch with other people. I don't know, Alessandro, do you want to ask anything to Rocio or Giada so that we complete this?
I would like them to introduce themselves, maybe saying that how they switch to be let's say qualitative interviewers once they come from a quantitative world. If they, okay, most of you said that it was more challenging, but my question is, was it more satisfying? Like, did you like it more than normal, let's say, CATI interviews? Was it worth it?
Okay, I start. My name is Rocio, and I was an interviewer for...
Rocio, we can't hear you.
Now?
Yeah, a bit better.
A little bit better? Okay. I don't know why I cannot put my video on. Just, I don't know. What I was going to say that for me was very challenging, as all said. And it was better than CATI interviews because you could feel that the people were more confident because they can see my face. And when they give the answers, they were relaxed. And I don't know, it's like more confident face to face. Because over the phone, maybe they're more afraid about the privacy, I found out. And hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay, okay. And that's my opinion. And I was also very afraid about two questions regarding the ones that you said. Please, could you show with the camera the place where you work? And also I was afraid about the question regarding the supermarket paying with their phone. But I found that people were very comfortable giving their answers, and they felt comfortable with this face-to-face interview. And I don't know, I tried to feel like we're friends, even if we don't know them. We were trying to be friends and trying to keep them focused. And another thing different is that when you do CATI interviews, you have to focus on the interview and you don't have to let the people talk about other things. In these interviews, you could let the people talk and talk and talk, and was more interesting for me.
Got it. Good point. Well, is there any of our clients that would like to ask anything maybe to Giada? Just to close, is there anything you are curious about the execution of the interviews or how it was? Okay, then I'll ask Giada, what was the moment that's actually, and you have enjoyed the most? I mean, what was the part that you just said, I'm liking it? It's like...
Allora, intanto ciao a tutti.
Ciao a tutti. If you want to say in Italian, that's okay. I mean, qual è stato il momento in cui ti sei divertita di più? Quando hai detto, mi sta piacendo quello che sto facendo?
Guarda, intanto... Mi vedete? Sì.
Ciao.
Allora, intanto posso dire che è stata un'esperienza sicuramente molto piacevole, diversa da quella che vivo quotidianamente al lavoro in CATI, ovviamente, perché c'è appunto un maggiore contatto e anche visivo con la persona che sta intervistando, ed è come se loro si fidassero di più di me. Quindi del viso che vedono piuttosto che ovviamente telefonicamente. Ci sono stati sì dei momenti divertenti, perché devo dire che erano davvero tutti molto disponibili e molto pronti a raccontarsi. Hanno davvero raccontato anche molti aneddoti, anche divertenti, anche sui vicini di casa, perché c'era appunto una domanda in particolare sui vicini di casa, ma anche hanno anche mostrato appunto delle immagini divertenti trovate nei social, quindi sono stati molto pronti e molto disponibili nel raccontarsi e nel mostrare anche le cose divertenti che li avevano colpiti in questo periodo di quarantena.
Bene, grazie Giada. Basically, what you think is that, I mean, a video interview is more trustworthy to the people. Let's say you can create more trust in respondents, showing your face, you know, instead of using just, you know, the voice. On the other side, that they look like kind of being friends, and people were so available and open to do whatever kind of exercise or question we were posing to them. As well, that it has been kind of funny, and especially about their stories about the neighbors. But now we can just, I think, thank you very much again to everybody. Was really, really good to what you've done. So let's move on to the presentation itself. And let's start with CSA. No, well, we would have a first mashup, let's say, just a sum of all the parts, but just a bit, just to give everybody an idea about what we're going to dive into.
For many, the use of technology and social networks has changed for them, and they've now started to kind of use them differently compared to how they were before. Has anything in particular changed for you, and if so, how?
The biggest change that we've had is when it was my daughter's birthday recently, we had a Zoom party.
Oh, okay, my wife could be watching television. And it's nice. It's just lovely.
Ella ponía la canción de La Cucaracha, che è una canzone tipica spagnola.
L'immagine del presidente Mattarella che dice Giovanni non vado dal bar.
Un attimo, so perché si è bloccato.
Chiede neanche io.
C'est pas tout de suite, hein, ce sera à plus de 100 km, vous habitez à plus de 100 km. Donc,
d'accord.
Pour nous, c'est...
Lei sta guidando.
Mi perdoni se non la guardo. Yeah, I have. I've used the red box, which, you know, the most popular...
Poi quando arrivo a casa, lì è che ripeto. Questa è la che uso se voglio ir al super, ¿vale? Sta il contatto.
Non so perché si blocca. I don't know why it's
If I turn this.
Are you there?
Yes, yes, yes.
Redid the kitchen, we redid the floor. This is our family room. It's a dining room.
Okay.
So we just wait and see what happens, because we do have a sneak. Obviously, a lot of places have lifted lockdown.
See, to be honest, I'm being difficult, as I wouldn't want to spend the time with anyone. I'm kind of used to my own space, it would be very intrusive, so I don't know. Moi, je suis sur Facebook.
Dagli Stati Uniti e da noi si diffonde in tutta Europa.
Allora un attimo, it was a little bit out of sync, so let's start with CSA. Okay, the last intro video for them, and then Lenny, you'll be able to talk and explain us what you found in the questions that you have decided to ask and why you have decided to ask them.
Okay, shall I start?
Been a month of quarantine with someone English, American, Italian, French, German, or Spanish. Who would you choose and why?
It would have to be English.
Okay.
Simply
Thank
because they're the similar mindset as myself.
Okay, lo repito. No, estoy pensándola, ¿Alemán, un inglés o un italiano? ¿Y por qué un italiano? Porque así practico más mi italiano, que lo tengo un poco. Pero cocinan bien, son guapos, prefiero estar con una persona guapa, ya que estar con un extraño, con un mínimo que sea guapo.
Si vous deviez, donc une autre question, si vous deviez passer une quarantaine pendant un mois à nouveau, donc dans votre maison, au-delà de votre famille, est-ce que vous choisiriez donc un Allemand, un Italien, un Français, un Espagnol, un Anglais ou un Américain? Qu'est-ce que vous aimeriez avoir auprès de vous?
Je dirais plutôt qu'une nationalité, un langage francophone.
Very good. So, Lenny, this I know is one of the two questions, but you can tell us now about what you've done, what kind of analysis, what surprised you, what did you find interesting in this?
Yes, if you want, I can share the screen. Absolutely. And I can show you. Yeah, we prepare a very short and.
There we go. Okay, you're good to go. I just allowed you to share the screen.
Okay.
Good, we can see you. Excellent.
Okay. Okay. Okay, here we go. So the question is, asking question actually is our job, but when Ennio Alessandro asked us a few questions to ask to these people recruited through a sample survey and to be interviewed through a video interviews. And in these particular hard times that we were living actually, because they were carried out right at the end of the quarantine period, we were asking ourselves which could have been the best questions to ask, considering the period, considering the tool, mainly the tool. The tool means a linguistic register too. Some of your interviewers mentioned the fact of being closer to respondents, to establish the possibility to establish a confidential relationship with interviewees. And this is really true from our point of view, and this was the reason why we decided to choose questions related to social relationship, the relationships, the area of interest of the first webinar. And we focused on Italy only because the work on video interviews, it's really time-consuming, is really long, is full of interesting information inside. It requires a lot of time, so you get a lot of information, but you need time and also capabilities to understand all this material. So we decided to focus on very few questions, all related to social relationship, in order to have a narrow but more solid insight on a specific area, and in Italy only. So the first question was concerns friendship even beyond quarantine. And so the first question was, did you, during this quarantine, did you get in touch with friends you didn't heard of since long time ago? And just to understand if the quarantine was a period to look at the past, to look forward, the present, and the first answer that we got is that the quarantine was really a time to consolidate present friendship and think forward. It was not time to use to looking backward and to spend to recover something in the past. This was really a common answer we got from our respondents. The second question, also concerning friendship, was more a perspective. Think about the end of the lockdown. What is the first thing you would like to do together with your friends when you will be eventually able to meet up? And in Italy, the answer was not surprising in a way, because what respondents, all of them, were looking for was to be with friends around the table again. It was not a question of going to a specific restaurant to eat specific food, but what was important for them is to think about being again all together and having a lunch and a dinner together. Since we know as Italians, the table is really the place where friendship becomes really, really strong. Only a few cases, no, another important aspect here is that there is a reluctance to go and to start again as before, to start the life as it was before in restaurants, pizzeria, and so on, because there is a fear that the contagion can go on, and so with all the necessary devices and the necessary cautions, they will try to meet their friends. So maybe somewhere open air, maybe in some houses, not in big restaurants. But the important thing will be to meet together around the table. So the other questions. Oops, sorry. The other question were concerning the people they were living. They had lived the quarantine with, and we asked, thinking about the people they lived the quarantine with, if at the end of the period of the quarantine, the relationship with them would have been better, where actually, because it was at the end of the quarantine, the question was asked if this relationship were considered and perceived as improved, deteriorated, or remained the same as before the quarantine period. And here we have a quote of one respondent, which really summarizes a little bit the main answers we got, that if the relationship works, such an expected and undemanding experience helps to strengthen the ties. We were all obliged to live in narrow spaces with time, imposed time for everybody without physical contact with people outside. And it was really stressful and really demanding period, but if it was an opportunity to strengthen relationship with people in the family, of course, if the relationship worked. In this case, in this our little sample was a self-selected sample, of course, people particularly fond of sharing experiences. So probably because they are among these people, lucky people with a working relationship. But this is for sure this is a result of the quarantine. Then we asked them to think about colors, what kind of colors they would have used to color, let's say, this relationship with the people they lived the quarantine with. And it is interesting to see that most all of them mention green and blue, which are colors of balance, of quietness, of health too. And of course, again, this is very much influenced by the kind of sample that we were looking at. And apart from this, some men mentioned also red color, referring to the partner. Maybe some little tension emerged, and so this color was mentioned.
Lenny, to interrupt,
this is just
one more minute.
Sorry?
No more than one more minute.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Last question was just a joke. As I said at the beginning, we wanted to try different kind of linguistic register just to see how people were reacting to different kind of questions. So more than the results, because of course this is just is a presentation, is a joke like that. But what's important was to see if the way they were reacting to questions. So the last question was a joke. The joke about, you heard about the person to live the quarantine with, and of course Italy and Spain, fraternal twins. Italy first of all, and then Spain are the most mentioned countries. Not only because there is a need of sharing experiences. Italian, we all had the same experience of quarantine with the same severe effect. And Spain was considered as a country where the same problem was lived at the same with the same gravity. That's all. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you very much, Lenny. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
So, I mean, let's move forward to Eumetra. So let's start with a video now again, and let's enjoy that.
Computer sempre acceso, telefono sempre online, sempre connesso.
Ovviamente abbiamo dei social tipo WhatsApp, oppure Skype per le comunicazioni dirette.
Vabbè, Facebook sì, chiaramente, avendo più tempo anche in pausa pranzo, a cena, così sì, l'ho usato di più.
Per me Facebook e WhatsApp.
Abbiamo usato tanto le videochiamate, sia con i nonni, i parenti, sia con gli amici.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I was not sharing the screen, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure about the
There we
others.
go. Okay, here it is.
Okay, yeah, it works now.
Thank you, Mark.
Computer sempre acceso, telefono sempre online, sempre connesso.
Ovviamente abbiamo dei social tipo WhatsApp, oppure Skype per le comunicazioni dirette.
Vabbè, Facebook sì, chiaramente, avendo più tempo anche in pausa pranzo, a cena, così sì, l'ho usato di più.
Per me Facebook e WhatsApp.
Abbiamo usato tanto le videochiamate, sia con i nonni, i parenti, sia con gli amici.
Escludo TikTok, Instagram, eccetera, però con Facebook, ma più che altro per leggere, per avere dei riferimenti magari più diretti a quelli che sono le notizie.
Ho aumentato anche moltissimo la visione su YouTube di tantissime cose, proprio perché dalla scelta personale, a dire la verità, ho viaggiato con la fantasia con YouTube come cosa.
Invece per quanto riguarda il social che ho utilizzato di più?
Allora, Instagram perché collaboro con una web radio e facciamo le dirette su Instagram, e per il resto i social li sto
Okay, and now there will be the contribution from the people, let's say the non-Italian speaking people.
And social media, how did your use of social media or your interaction with social media change during lockdown?
Well, I contact with a lot of friends, you know, through Zoom or Facebook.
So in particular with the use of your smartphone, do you feel that its kind of usage has changed during this period in the quarantine?
Yeah, I'll be honest, my daughters always used to say to me, I don't know why you've got an app phone, you don't deserve it because you don't know how to use it. Because I just used it basically for phone calls and to quickly check in on Facebook or something, or look something up when I was out and about. I could never even use Google Maps or anything like that on it. But now I think if I went out, I could use virtually everything on it now because I've learned how to do it, you know.
Découvert d'autres services, d'autres applications, d'autres réseaux sociaux.
Bah voilà, il faut découvrir Zoom là, voilà.
Ok, d'accord. Quelle application, sur quelle application avec laquelle vous avez partagé le plus et vous avez reçu le plus d'images amusantes, drôles, pour rigoler entre amis? Les emails principalement.
Ah oui, parce que moi je suis sur Facebook, donc je collectais des images, des informations que je retransmets. Alors je les envoie sur l'adresse de mon mari qui lui a un fichier et il l'envoie, voilà. Donc on a eu beaucoup d'échanges comme ça.
Very good. So, Ludovico, do you want to share any slides?
No.
All right. So we'll just keep on with this screen. All right. So tell us what you found interesting in your part.
As you have all seen and heard, we focused on technology. We wanted to see how people were use technology, because we suspect they used a lot of technology, of course, because it was the only way to connect to the world. But we wanted to see if anything changed. And like CSA, we focused on Italian interviews, mostly for time, because it's, as Lenny said, it's really interesting, but really time-consuming analyzing these interviews. So we found that Italians used a lot of technology, but they didn't change so much their habits. I mean, also people who said, okay, I'm at home, I do a lot of video calls, but they used a smartphone for video calls, not PC and still not tablet, because they were most used to the smartphone. There were some people that also was reading books on a smartphone just because they were used to using smartphone. So there was not a big change as one could expect, that you are at home, you have a bigger screen, you have lots of places, you don't have to go out and use your technology in mobility as during your normal life, but still people are so used to use the smartphone for everything that the smartphone is king, we can say. And also a lot of interviews, I think more than half were taken on a smartphone. Some, as we said in the beginning, also going out. There was one man interviewed while he was driving and then into his car. And so that's the first, I think, interesting insight. The second one is that we asked how many social networks they used and how they use them. And the social network, it seems they are not so much for social, but for news reading. Lots of people said they use social to find the news, to see what happened, to see what Conte, our prime minister, has to say, because he spoke on Facebook. And there are people without a TV that so use the Facebook to listen to him, but not so much to speak with other people, not at all to speak with friends, because speaking with friends is by WhatsApp, is via Zoom. That was the most used app for video calls, not with the traditional social media. And another thing that social media were meant for, so sharing funny videos or funny images. What we found that, yes, everyone, and I think also all of you, received funny videos or funny images about the quarantine, but they're not so much on social. But they were all on WhatsApp, because people maybe found them on other social, on Facebook, on Instagram, also on TikTok, but then they share it with friends using WhatsApp, that now is the social, I mean, the social where everything comes to an end, where everything goes. So you can have only WhatsApp and still know what happens, what is going on all the other social network galaxy. And there is another, I think, interesting thing, like another mean by people as to know, for example, TikTok, that for I think everyone is a teen social network, but it was confined to teens, a little bit, I think, youngsters since last December. Now, I think quite no one is on TikTok, but everyone has seen at least one TikTok video on WhatsApp or on maybe on Facebook. All this boom of technology is not meant to resist, or at least this is the prevision of people. They say they will delete all these apps, they will stop using video calls as soon as the quarantine goes to an end and they can go out with friends. My personal opinion is that is not so true, and people will continue to use video calls and to use lots of technology more than before. But we'll see with if it's really comes to an end, what happens. As the last question, we tried to do a little game, asking people to put on their mask and try to pay with the smartphone. Not everyone knew what to do and how to act. There were people that knew what is using a smartphone with the mask that said immediately, I cannot, because I cannot, I have to put in the code, because if I'm in a supermarket, I have to put out the gloves. It's difficult. Most of the people simply said, I will not pay with the smartphone. I will simply use my credit card because it's simpler, because then I can use alcohol on it and so be more sure, because it's not so fine, not so easy paying with the smartphone. And there is another thing about technology, because the mobile payment was the big trend on last year. Probably now it will have an arrest because of the mask, because it's, as we see, a little bit complicated, because the old credit card, it seems the best payment method, because mobile payment is difficult and cash is more dangerous, because you cannot use alcohol or any other thing on it. And that's it, what we found.
Thank you very much, Ludovic, for your insights, and to Eumetra. So I would just go to the next set of videos. This time is going to be the turn of BVA. So let's start with it.
Io sono un insegnante di sostegno alla scuola media e
We can't hear the voices.
Ma non c'era spazio per tutti. In questo periodo di dedicare a contatto con la gente è un po' più troppo, diciamo così.
Ho lavorato, ci siamo dati delle turnazioni in ufficio, ho lavorato sia in ufficio per qualche settimana, però la maggior parte l'ho fatta in smart working da casa.
Perché la mia azienda negli ultimi anni proprio parlava dello smart working ad alcune persone con problemi di salute lo aveva concesso, quindi è comunque un modo di lavorare che conosco.
And as for the other parts, let's hear as well something from the international interviews.
Parti, je vais vous demander pour commencer, donc comment vous avez organisé votre travail pendant la quarantaine et si ça a changé quelque chose pour vous, principalement en termes d'organisation.
Oui,
comment ça s'est passé?
Alors, je suis à la retraite, mais j'ai énormément d'activités à l'extérieur. Forcément, mes activités se sont arrêtées parce que j'allais à l'école, je prenais des cours, enfin, je suivais des conférences et des cours. Donc, mes activités se sont arrêtées. J'en ai poursuivi par Internet en écoutant des conférences. Et comme j'avais des élèves chez qui j'allais, je donne des cours de français et d'anglais de façon bénévole. Eh bien, j'ai continué à suivre mes élèves par Skype.
Very good. Okay. So, Mark, do you have any slide to share with us?
Yes.
All right. So I'll stop my sharing and you can take the control. Oh, 1 second.
Okay. Can you see?
Yeah, in a while. Not yet.
Oops. Okay, so, sorry, I just cut. I couldn't hear you. Wait, I'll try again. Now can you see?
Yeah, correct. It's working.
Okay, it seems like I have maybe a low connection, so we'll try. So our questions, we had a question about working from home. And one of the things, because I first looked at the French answers, and we had freelance, housewife, retired, and one of the thing that we took out from this in a market research point of view is the importance of targeting. And this compiled to social network that allows to go to niche targets can be a very interesting tool. If we combine this, and for instance, because to remember all of you, the questions we had were about how did it change their life at home. So if we compile these questions with, for instance, targeting people who live at 2 or 3 in a 30 square meter, and this we can do thanks to social media, we can have some very, very interesting things. So this is all like new and very interesting, and there are many things to come out of it. But from this, and I'm telling you also this to share what we found out on a research perspective, but regarding this question, even though some were not working from home, they were actually impacted by the fact that some could work from home. So the freelance, it wasn't really complicated for her because she just had to remove the table from the dining room, and she said that's all. The housewife, she said that her husband was at home, so it helped. And we had 2 retired that said very interesting things, and one of them is in the video that you just showed before. She said that so basically what she was saying, it was that she was giving classes, French and English classes in an association for free. And she never imagined it possible before the crisis to do it from home with a Skype, with a video. And she was doing it even every day, whereas before she could do it only once a week because she had to move to go to the place. So this is very interesting that someone who's, I don't know how old exactly she is, but over 70, because she was married for 50 years, said, now, thanks to digital tools, I can work from home. Even a retired person said that. So the consequences for working from home are huge. And also some retired said that their children cook for them, or also the same woman, she said that she could be there every day. And this is something important with digital tools, is that you can be in several places at the same time, more or less. We had also a question on neighbors. Whoops. Sorry, no. So another thing that is useful with video is it allows with deviations, and like the interviewer said, the respondents are more free, and some of them even invented some new words, which was their words were a bit funny. One was talking about the extra time he had and that he was confino nostalgique, meaning nostalgia from lockdown. Confinement in French is lockdown. And another one was more talking about something we also saw last week, is the crisis management and the quality of information delivered. She said it was more contradiction virus than coronavirus, because that's something the government was attacked for, that an information would change from a speech to another. And we're going to get back to this because her point of view on social network is interesting, and the way the questions were asked by Eumetra helped us find some interesting things. Now, about the neighbors, there are 3 main things that we saw. One thing that is not, it's only one person who told us that, but it was rather shocking. When we asked about their neighbors, He said, well, actually, my neighbor got taken care of by the police as he was beating his wife. So that was a bit unexpected. I don't know, honestly, the interviewer, the way he was reacting to some things, it was quite, he did a great job on this. I don't think he's here, but anyway. And actually, this is something that the government in France, they had a lot of communication about. And it is quite rare, but this time they did, that displaying billboards with the numbers, they were also talking to the neighbors. With this, meaning we all have a role to play. So there is the idea that we need to take care of each other in bad moments even. And some other people talked about about the solidarity, that they lived in a small building with elderly households, and that they had to knock on their doors or call them every now and then. And two other interviews that were very interesting regarding the fact that neighbors can help you when you need contact. And the need for contact is very important these days. It's one of the things also that people want to do after the crisis, go back, see their family, their friends. So there's this need to touch, to see the others. And this is even truer for kids. And another retired woman was telling about how her granddaughter, when she came to her house, used to go to the balcony, and she went there once, and as she saw another kid, she went back every day, and she was asking after the kid, where was the little boy, where, etc. And it's funny to see that for the kids, like they even have more this need for contacts. And also Rear Window. So here there's an image of the movie where it's not really like the contacts they have in these movies are not necessarily nice, but a lot of people told us about the apéro, aperitivo, the fact that they would go to their rear window and have a drink and talk through the windows. The importance of windows, even if we're locked down, windows are very important to keep on contacting with each other. And from the other questions, we saw three insights. Is number one, a month. I would kiss my parents. I would go and say hi to my brothers and sisters. I would go to the cinema. Every time they were saying what they would do first, they would always say, but after a month, or maybe in July, and it was always a month. So there's this fear. It's not going to go away now. There's the fear of the second wave, but a month is now something that seems to be adopted by most. So it could be very complicated. Of course, if a second wave appeared in July, for instance, it would be really hard. But this is really the period that was given by respondents. Then the color in France was more blue, or sunset pink, or pastel colors about cocooning or the sky, or because it means there is no storm, it's soothing. We didn't have that much respondents who told us about problems in their relations. And last thing, as I was saying, the way Eumetra asked the questions about social networks, the fact that before you ask, did it have an aspect on your life? And then you ask, what made you laugh on social media, is very interesting, because the first answer you have is, no, it didn't change my life, or I can have a critical position towards social network. And the person who told us about, who was criticizing the government, first thing she said when she was asked about funny things on social networks, it was, I really enjoyed the drawings mocking the government. And it's something, last week we were talking about the government that was facing mistrust. Social network can also be because of the clusters. That is really interesting for marketing, but these clusters strengthen some opinions we have. And this, even though people are going to explicitly say that it doesn't have an aspect on their life, it could actually have one. So that was very interesting to see for us.
Thank you, Mark. You finished?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, just like before going on, I just want to remind to all the panelists and also the attendees that you can intervene anytime you want. Also, like making questions if you have any doubts or anything. Like now, I would like to ask Mark if the findings that you have found in the video interviews confirmed, let's say, the common sense or what you are thinking right now about the situation in France, or if there was something that actually surprised you and that you have found peculiar.
Well, let me look. Honestly, I think everything we saw is not, well, so about working from home, I think it's very interesting. Honestly, this is maybe what's, let's not say surprised me, but a lot of people are talking about home working and how it's going to change our vision of work, but it's also going to change our household. And it's true that we have this vision of a housewife, for instance. She doesn't work, but actually she works. She's just not paid for it. And these interviews and how people were saying, I don't work, so I'm not concerned by the question. But actually, my husband is at home, so there's this and this and this. That's actually very interesting, and it's not something surprising in terms of an answer that surprised me, but it's questions our way of thinking and of seeing how people work or live at their places.
Very good. So let's move on to the next section. So it's CFI. No, sorry, this is my bad. There we go.
E sicuramente appunto usciremo, ci siamo appunto già messi d'accordo con le amiche e gli amici assolutamente.
Il video non si vede.
Non esiste una risposta.
I'm not sharing.
Okay, so kind of sticking to this kind of topic around public spaces and you know, public facilities, where would you think would be the first place that you would go to have, you know, drinks or food with family and friends, and why?
You know, that's an excellent point. Probably one of the things we miss the most is going out to dinner.
And do you have a favorite place you're going to go to?
Actually, it's interesting you said that. One of our favorite places is an Italian restaurant.
¿Cree que se sentirá con miedo al contagio, deseo de divertirse, de gastar mucho?
No, ni con miedo al contagio y gastar mucho no, porque no me dejan gastar mis hijos y con miedo al contagio ninguno. Es que ninguno.
Great. What is the first thing going to be that you're going to do when you get to go out?
Go to a restaurant.
With whom?
Take probably Carmela.
Okay.
Take Carmela. We're close. You know, we don't. She lives there because she's with her daughter, who needs her to be there. Her daughter's an adult, but so yes, I would probably will say, "Come on, Carmela, we're gonna flow. We're gonna have a nice time at a nice restaurant."
And let's hear some Italians as well.
E sicuramente appunto usciremo, ci siamo appunto già messi d'accordo con le amiche e gli amici assolutamente.
Allora non esiste una risposta assoluta a questa domanda, perché ovviamente molto per quanto riguarda la propensione agli acquisti o alla vita sociale dipenderà da come si evolverà la situazione.
In questo periodo le lauree le abbiamo assistite tutte online, c'è da recuperare un po' di partecipazione, quindi diciamo dai, facciamo qualche evento così.
Cioè, contentezza perché è finita, abbiamo passato questa è la classica domanda di giravolta che ti confermo.
Ritengo che dobbiamo far ripartire in qualche modo e quindi cercherei di sostenere le attività ristorative della mia zona.
Con un adeguato distanziamento sociale, non ci sono le condizioni per un contagio. E poi insomma dipende anche da dove si va a mangiare.
Eravamo persone abituate come minimo ad uscire, ad andare al ristorante 2-3 volte alla settimana. Come l'ho detto prima, attualmente io non mi sento ancora sicura. Dovrei vedere come vanno i contagi, come va la curva epidemiologica i primi di giugno.
Ok. Giovanni, do you have any slides?
Yes, just 2 slides.
Can
you see me?
Yeah.
My slide, in fact, not me. Okay, we added some question about the outdoor consumption, and as you see in these videos, there are different position, different feeling about this. We can say there is a polarization. Some people are afraid of COVID. They don't want to go outside because they fear the pandemic, and while other people wish to meet their friends, the parents, the relatives, and so they are waiting. They want to go outside. Someone wish to help the country in economic terms, wish to restart the relationship with the barman, with the chef, with the manager of the places where they normally go out to have a dinner, to a restaurant, I mean, and so they want to help these people to restart. Surely there is a strong, intensive pleasure to stay with friends. Is a very hard needs, we can say. But there is the caution and the fear for the disease. So someone don't want to go outside till the cure of the disease is really stopped, we can say. Another point could be that people prefer well-known consumption points. I mean, they want to be sure that they will meet the people they yet know, the people, or again, the manager, or they know. And so the last point is they would prefer traditional products. Again, there is a need of sicurezza. I mean, they want to be sure that on what they will eat or drink and so on. That was the main aspect for the adult, we can say. The Y generation, the young men and women, perhaps mainly would recover the lapsed time. They want to go on to stay with friends for the big pleasure they give each others. And someone even would challenge the system. They don't want to wear the mask because they react to this sign of constraint, we could say. They need crowded areas, while the other don't need crowded areas. Closed areas are not so well seen. Normally, people prefer open air areas. And the last point could be that young people would prefer spirits than others. The second point with the second question we asked were about the home banking versus branches. And we see again a polarization. People who, well, surely who used to be, he was very useful with very used to have home banking, continued with home banking without problem. While the difference was for people who used branches, and we see that someone is still using branches, continued to use branches, so the physical contact don't stop them to use branches. They don't fear the physical contact. And we can say from other market research that the branches, the banks really organized really well the service in the branches, even in COVID time. While other people you interviewed learned how to use home banking and appreciate this different way of work with the bank, or a relationship with the bank, and said, well, I learned and I am happy of this because I will remain home banking. I will still use home banking. Why? But I will also go to the branches, less than before. Okay. Well, it was very, very interesting to have the chance, the possibility to watch the interview. We can say the facial expression when they answers these questions, because the face help you to understand the real fear or the real friendship with the COVID-19. So thanks for this experiment, we can say, for this test. Up to you,
Giovanni. Thank you very much for, thank you all, for the time that you spent analyzing this data, because I understand and I prove it on my skin that it takes really a lot of time. But I was wondering how much more information we have, out of the respondents. So it has been a kind of a mostly qualitative approach. Nevertheless, why not doing it also in common times? Maybe at the end, we can just spend a word on how you would use it for other purposes. So I will share again the screen now. Thank you very much, Giovanni, for your time and for your presentation. So let's move on to the last presentation. This is going to be from Ergo Research. So Michele, hi, and here it is, first two videos.
Le è mai capitato di noleggiare a casa un film recente ad una cifra maggiorata, simile a quella per esempio che si può spendere per vedere un film al cinema?
Sì, noi abbiamo Sky e in genere usiamo la funzione on demand.
Amazon Prime, Netflix, Infinity.
Quanto tempo farà passare prima di vedere un film al cinema? Sì?
Se le faccio vedere la collezione di biglietti del cinema.
Quindi
c'è una serie,
per esempio, Netflix.
Sono vecchio, però sono organizzato e fa paura, ho 200.000 applicazioni, vedo questo mondo e quello là.
Quindi non le è mai capitato di noleggiare a casa un film a casa?
No.
Non utilizzo servizi di noleggio di film, quindi forse sarei un pochino più invogliata ad andare al cinema perché saremmo molto distanziati e quindi mi sarebbe meno facile.
Se avessi l'occasione appunto di spolognare i bambini a qualcuno con piacere, ovviamente mi piacerebbe andarci con mia moglie, non da solo.
Addirittura Sky ha fatto delle offerte su noi che eravamo, diciamo così, abbonati da molto tempo, regalandoci e stornandoci l'intero importo in fattura. Quindi ho noleggiato dei film tramite Sky, ma mi sono poi stati rimborsati appunto perché erano offerte di Sky. Anzi, devo dire che sia come Sky che come Amazon Prime abbiamo avuto numerosissime offerte e anche la messa a disposizione di tanti canali in più che normalmente non ci sono.
Okay, let's hear now as well what the international interviews gave us as a result.
Apriranno le sale cinematografiche. Quanto tempo farà passare prima di vedere un film al cinema? Sì.
Se le faccio vedere la collezione dei biglietti del cinema.
Ah, quindi le piace molto, le piace molto. E quindi mi dica quanto tempo crede che farà passare prima di vedere un film al cinema, al chiuso, con distanziamento?
Appena riaprono i cinema io penso che mi ribionderò sicuramente.
Cosa le manca allora più di questa esperienza?
No, mi manca tornare al cinema perché il cinema era uno dei momenti, diciamo, era l'apice dei momenti di aggregazione con i miei amici.
Del lockdown, ¿alguna vez durante este cierre, alguna vez ha alquilado una película nueva, un precio similar a la que gasta para ver en el cine?
Ya va. Durante el lockdown he alquilado una película
nueva, similar, que con el precio similar al del cine.
Uy, no, que tengo Netflix, HBO, Movistar Plus, Apple TV. O sea, podría estar 10 lockdowns y aún no terminaría de verme todas las páginas que tengo.
Very good. So, Michele, do you want to share your screen?
Yes, I just prepared some slides showing again something we analyzed starting from the quantitative results. Just to remind you that we focused on the comparison between the countries analyzed and in particular on the differences between age classes and youngsters in particular, discovering that they were more optimistic in general on the evolution of human and social relations, but Italian youngsters emerged as an exception, being less optimistic than their colleagues, let's call them this way. But we also found a difference between different variables we asked about in a large survey conducted the same during the lockdown. And we asked about how worried they were about contagion in general. And focusing on this aspect, we discovered that youngsters in Italy were less worried than the older target. So different perspective. If I think on the evolution of human relationships, and it doesn't depend only on me, I'm not so optimistic. I mean, Italian youngsters answer this way. But if you ask me if I'm worried about contagion, well, I'm not so worried. And this is related with their attitude on entertainment experiences outdoor. And when we asked how long are you going to are you going back to cinemas, to theaters, in particular during the first month, 48% of people intentioned to go back to cinemas during the first month are aged between 15 and 34. So this is the aspect you wanted to deepen with the video interviews. And we asked IFF to ask questions, well, in general about, first of all, entertainment during the lockdown. And the first question was about the willingness to rent movies, digital rental at premium price, between €7 rental and 16 euros. During the video interviews, very few people answered yes, we paid an extra amount to watch a movie, while the large majority underlined that they already had subscriptions or pay TV available. So with lots of movies and TV series included in the amount they pay per month, and very few people decided to pay an extra price to watch recent movies. So the sofa alternative for recent movie wasn't so appreciated, while going to a theater before the lockdown and coronavirus was a very wide experience. 50% of Italians usually go to the theater at least once a year, starting from these quantitative results, underlining the willingness of youngsters to go faster back to the theaters, we were interested in some insights confirming or not this intention, and focusing in particular on the Italian video interviews. It emerged that, for example, this adult female interviewees underlined that, well, not before October. Maybe you know that from the 15th of June, it will be allowed to reopen the theaters. Not everyone will open, but it's interesting to discover that this interviewee underlines that, well, not before September or October. She should consider as an intermediate approaching experience watching a movie in a drive-in that they will open a lot in the next weeks, or maybe in an arena, but it's quite scared, frightened on the idea to go in a traditional cinema with social distances, air conditioning. She fears she exposed to some risk. And another quite aged interviewee underlines that, well, we heard something from this interviewee before in the mix we heard, and he underlines, I have all the technology I need at home, and said something similar to, I don't want to die in a cinema. So very worried, very frightened to face this experience, and he won't go back to the cinema at all. A different perspective in people around 30 and 35 in this case, and in this case the answer is, with the right movie, I'll be in a cinema with my friends. So cinema as a social experience shared with friends in a couple of weeks, not more. But the strongest intention, again, we heard something about this young interviewee with posters in the wall behind. Well, I can't wait. I really want to go back to the cinema or watch my favorite Marvel movie with my friends. It will be definitely exciting. So also in the small numbers of these video interviews, we got some confirmation of the intentions expressed also in the quantitative survey we analyzed. It wasn't in our we are not so surprised about this because we already knew the importance of youngsters in the movie consumptions, and to demonstrate that also, well, 2 years ago we underlined this peculiarity, this characteristic. At the end, I want to show you a slide we prepared for the presentation we did 2 years ago, and considering we were talking about cinemas, we prepared a fake poster whose title was "Don't Tell My Mother, Go to the Cinema." She thinks I stay at home watching a smartphone, and going on with this jokes, we also prepared a fake synopsis, and sorry, it's in Italian. I finished this way with the audio. That's this one. Well, sorry for this joke, but we wanted to demonstrate that video interviews could help us to demonstrate the industry, in this case, our clients, some results that we already obtained in quantitative surveys. And well, that's all.
Very good. All right, thank you, Michele. So first, I just want to welcome Ray Pointer. Hi, Ray. Hope you're doing well. You know some of these guys presenting. Well, actually, I will just come back to my presentation, to the last slide. I mean, we just wanted as well to collect the moments in which our respondents were just saying goodbye to the interviewed person. And I just want to share this last video with you.
Et on verra le résultat
Normalement, vous recevrez le résultat dès qu'il y a le résultat. De toute façon, oui, il y a tout. Vous avez l'adresse mail, tout est bon.
D'accord.
Voilà.
Ok.
Du coup, je vous remercie beaucoup, madame, pour votre temps, et puis la bonne continuation à vous. Et puis, merci. Merci beaucoup.
Au revoir.
Merci, au revoir.
È un nuovo sistema di comunicare e di esprimere le proprie opinioni.
È proprio quello che stiamo cercando appunto di fare, trovare anche un modo per poter
ci organizzerò meglio con Zoom.
Espero que tengan muy buen día. Esta era la última pregunta. Gracias.
Muy
amable.
Nada, a ti, hasta luego. Great. So those are all the questions that we have for today. I hope you enjoyed kind of discussing them, kind of getting your opinions across. And I wish you a very lovely day.
Thank you very much. Nice speaking to you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Quindi io le auguro un buon proseguimento di giornata. Grazie mille. Grazie. Salve. Buongiorno.
Excellent. So once again, I'd like to reinforce, I mean, well, how thankful I am to our interviewers. I mean, you did really a great job. And I would like to leave you everybody with maybe with a question. Maybe our speaker can tell their points of view. After spending so long time on these video files, what did you get out of this? I mean, how do you think you can maybe use video interviews for your kind of daily business, or are you thinking of any project that you could have said like, wow, with video interviews, it would have been working much better? So now that you know a little bit how to analyze them and what is the strength and the weaknesses, of course, what would you say? If you want to spend a word about it, like maybe, I don't know, starting with Mark, would you like to spend a word about it?
Yeah, basically, so regarding the interviewers, the one we had for France, we saw that there was sometimes a real connection, some other times, and I told you about the violence with the neighbors. You could see that it could be, honestly, instead of him, I don't have reacted, or even our questions regarding how do you work, and people like didn't have a job, or even one man told us that he got hired on the 16th of March, which is the starting date of the lockdown. So actually he couldn't start his job because of it. So like this, someone also mentioned the fact that someone lost someone close to them. So it's, no, honestly, they did a good job on this. And you see that there's a good connection. They managed to have a good connection with the interviewed. So.
Yeah, especially for yourself, one part of your interview was actually showing physically what was around. So how they set up their environment for remote working. Was that was that what expected, or?
Not really, because of some of the people were interviewed. A lot of them didn't. I mean, in France, in other countries, they did show. But in France, and we focused on France because of the time that we had, they wouldn't show it necessarily, but I think like there can be some really interesting tools here, like showing the environment. They didn't, because they were saying, I don't work, so the interviewer didn't push it, which he was right, because it was like he did the right thing. But also the drawing, like it could be interesting to have them actually draw with the circles on paper. That could be very interesting, and it's something for quality interviews that are more and more demanded by our clients in the automotive industry. For instance, when they launch a new car, like this is the kind of thing they like to have the person in the environment, and they like to have a video format because it's much more playful than a report. And so there's a lot of things to be taken off from this kind of methodology, even in quantitative interview.
But you start to work on them, right? It's a lot. Huh? It's a lot to do.
I mean, it's a lot of work. We also need to organize, and I guess that's what you guys had to do, work with IT or creative, or who have the video skills. Like that requires some skills, but when you can really use it in quant, and as we all work in a marketing department or firms, we all know that we have less and less time. And our clients, it's the same. They have less and less time to look at 100 slide reports. So one video with someone talking and figures popping up around, that can be a solution. That can be very interesting for the clients.
Good. Thank you very much, Mark. Alessandro, do you have any question for?
Well, not really a question, more a consideration of what happened today. Also, like underlying the job from Michele, because like I saw that he started from, it wasn't the only one, started from the quantitative results that he had from last week, let's say, insight and last week webinar, developing them, let's say, with the video interviews. Like, once again, there is no perfect methodology. It's not one or the other, but according to what you need in that specific moment, in that specific project, maybe the best thing is like combining the two things together, like starting from the quantitative and then running out with the video interviews. I think like it was like a really great way to find like good insight. So like, I mean, I like the reading that Michele gave to the data.
And we will go on this way also in other projects. So we usually mix methodologies, and personally as a researcher, so we switch from qualitative to quantitative. I'm a social psychology, not frightened by percentage, and we suggest to mix methodologies, but usually we do this in a quite traditional way. I mean, focus group, IDIs, in parallel with quantitative. This approach, the one allowed by social recruitment and the mix between quantitative and video interviews, it's quite similar to what we sometimes do in central location with maybe 100 people selected to watch a movie and then give a quantitative feedback on that, and at the end we select 6 people for a traditional focus group. We can do similar things with social sampling sometimes in a more efficient way. Managing the results implies developing new capabilities, because you have to deliver also these kind of results. You have to mix, you have to prepare a different kind of reports, but it's a good incentive. We have to learn, but I think there's more value to deliver to the client that will appreciate, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah.
Good. Anyone from the audience has any question?
I just can I just add one comment?
Of course, Lenny, please.
Yeah, actually, video interview is not new, of course, because this is something that we use since a long time. And but what is really new and interesting to develop is the fact that the sampling is done through the social networks. So the variety of people you can get in touch is really wide, which is very good for research purpose. And also probably those who want to share are those who have more to say too. Maybe not. This is something to test. So the capacity to represent different kinds of people. But I think this is really the interesting point of this webinar and of this tool. So I think it's really interesting to understand and to develop better.
Excellent. Okay, guys. So guys, if there is no other person that wants to intervene, I would like to give you well, first of all, to thank all the speakers and the institute that have participated during this 2 webinar, number 2 and 3. You did an excellent job. It is, I'm proud to be one of your providers. So thanks a lot for your support. Of course, we can go deep into any of the aspects that we touched during this webinar, either with the CUBE survey or with the video interviews. And I would like to remind that the next and last webinar is going to be on the 5th of June, which is Friday, 5 p.m., together with, now I can say that, with Alberto Stracuzzi, which is our ESOMAR representative for Italy. And we're going to work on a very similar project to the first one that we used for the quantitative one, because we are interviewing people through TikTok. So we have a running ad at the moment, with people between Generation Z, so let's say 11 to 17 years old, And we're just going to compare what they found positive in this quarantine period, what they found negative again, and how they see the development of their of the human relationship in the future. Of course, I mean, together with him, we will make as well a comparison with a study they are running at the moment and try to understand why and the reasons why people are posting, not because everybody knows what we are posting with social media, listening and so on, but they want to investigate more why they do that. So what moves someone to post on social media? So we're going to compare once again in a kind of a new way, a new social media that is exploding actually, at least in Italy is exploding, but worldwide, and see the differences between the really young people and the adults that we found on Facebook. Okay, so guys, I have no other comments from my side. Anyone else wants to comment? Otherwise, it was really good having you here.
All right. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. And I declare this webinar closed.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Very much.
Goodbye.
Ciao.
Bye, everybody.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao.